Welcome to my channel, where we discuss everything and all things politics, especially about the 2023 presidential election that was held in Nigeria on February 25, 2023, and INEC announced the winner on March 1st. Now, since after the election result was announced, which is now being disputed in the courts, because INEC failed to do the needful. INEC failed to follow its guidelines. INEC failed to transmit the result of the presidential election from the polling units up to the INEC ARIF or INEC portal that was promised that it will be done on real time. INEC never did. Now, since that result was announced, it appears that there is enough blame to go around. Now, what I'm about to say does not in any way contradict the fact that the election was flawed and that the person that won the presidential election, the election was allegedly rigged on his behalf. And that is now a subject of court. Now, people have been trying to find out why the result turned out the way it turned out. The result turned out the way it did because the election was allegedly rigged. Because if the election was not rigged, if they had transmitted the presidential election results on real time as INEC claimed or promised Nigerians it would do, there would be no doubt about who won the election. Because the person who was on the verge of winning the election was Peter Obi of the Labour Party, who had already been projected by several polls that was done by credible organizations like the CNN, like Bloomberg, and so many others. He was the man to beat. But the result, since it came out the way it did, there had been a lot of explanation going around on who to blame for what happened. Initially, some people used to peddle the falsehood that the reason that APC won in quotes, was because the PDP was divided. Atiku Abubakar contested as PDP candidate. Peter Obi came out from PDP and moved to Labour. Kwankwaso left PDP and moved to New Nigerian People's Party. They say if they had stayed together, that PDP would have won. That was the line of argument. Even Buhari had made that argument. Even the APC, that's their explanation. But we know, and a lot of people know, that that is not exactly what happened or what will have made any difference. Because in 2019, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and Rabiu Kwankwaso, they were all in PDP. Peter Obi, in fact, was the running mate to Atiku Abubakar. So the big question is, why didn't they win in 2019 when they were all together? They didn't win in 2019 because the 2019 election, like the 2023 election, was compromised, was allegedly rigged. So if they had still stayed together and they do the election, and on the day of election, INEC refused to allow the transmission of presidential election results from the polling unit to the ARIF, they will still manipulate it today, and Aswaju will emerge the winner, as being alleged that they manipulated it, has been claimed in the courts that we have all seen, that there was no glitches. And they claimed there were glitches. There were no glitches. So in that case, the idea that if the Obi had stayed, if Kwankwaso had stayed, Atiku would have won is a lie from the pit of hell. Because they were all there in 2019, they couldn't win because the election was rigged. And the same people that rigged it in 2019 again allegedly rigged it in 2023. So make no mistake about it. All this idea of passing blame does not help anybody. Now, one of the latest view on this is one Senator Matthew Urebide from Edo State. This Senator Matthew, he claimed that the reason why Atiku lost was because Obi left PDP and Yacho Ayo, the former chairman of PDP, failed to resign from his position when the G5, led by Governor Yosef Wike, was demanding that he should resign. Why I find it very funny is that these people don't seem to get it. There was nothing that could have brought PDP back to power in 2023. In fact, their only chance of getting presidency, if they had been sensible, was to have handed that ticket to Peter Obi. So the idea that Atiku would have won but for this, no. Atiku would have still lost because PDP failed to read the time and season that we are, that Nigerians were looking for a change, a new direction, a new face, somebody who will do the extraordinary, somebody who will fight corruption, somebody who will reduce government, someone who is trustworthy, someone who has integrity. And of all of them that were in the top 4 before that election, or do I say top 3, Peter Obi was the only one with integrity, with a new face, with a new idea, and who his track record had shown that he is averse to corruption. And he is not as greedy as the rest. He is the only one among them who was not enjoying humongous pension as governor. Others in the race, they made sure they had fantastic pension for themselves. But Peter Obi was a man who had shown from his conduct as governor that it is not about himself. It is for the greater good of the society. And Atiku Abubakar forced himself to contest the election because after 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, common sense should have told PDP that power must go to the south and that power must go to southeast. That was why you see the Afenifere, the southwest group, supported Peter Obi. That was why you see the Niger Delta group led by Edwin Clark endorsed Peter Obi. That was why the Middle Belt Forum endorsed Peter Obi. That was why Peter Obi was the candidate that everybody wanted. Because if you look at it, between Atiku and Tinubu, the difference between them is just like the difference between Eba and Gary. That's not much difference. None of them will be able to fight corruption. None of them will be able to do anything extraordinary. Forget about all this initial garagara that Tinubu is doing, as if he was not part of the APC in the past 8 years. He was there all this while. So all this while he's doing as if he's just a new kid on the block who wanted a different thing. It's just for the optics and it's just for a while. until the court determines who finally won the election. To me, I see it as buying time. The real Tinubu is the Tinubu that Nigerians rejected in the election, going by the votes. Don't forget, Tinubu was declared winner with 8.7 million votes. But there were about 15 million votes against him. Those who voted for Atiku Abubakar voted against Tinubu. Those who voted for Peter Obi voted against Tinubu. Those who voted for Rabiu Kwankwaso voted against Tinubu. So these are vast majority of Nigerian voters, about 15 million or thereabout, who voted against Aswan Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who never wanted him to be president. Okay? So he is trying to show that he's not part of the APC, he's come to dissolving boards and all that. It doesn't make any difference. He was the national leader of the party, and it was one of the things that gave him a lot of clout at the time. In fact, if you address him and you didn't put that he was the national leader of the party, it means you are not appreciative of his role in the party. It was a position he shared with President Muhammad Buhari. For the first time in Nigeria's political history, the president of the ruling party, the president of the country, and the leader of the ruling party shared the position of national leader. So everything that you can blame Buhari administration for, you have to blame it on Aswad in the past 8 years. He cannot just come around and claim that he wasn't aware of anything that was happening. He just as he entered, he now began to see the wrongs. No? All those wrongs, he could have advised Buhari to change it. All those wrongs, he could have done something to see it righted. Unless he's telling Nigerians that he was deliberate in allowing the country to go down the drain so that he will use it as an opportunity to come to power. But that will be a case of somebody eating his cake and having it, which is not possible. So he was part of the process. He was part of the APC in the last 8 years. And he nominated a lot of people into that government, which is a fact. Now, this senator that is blaming Peter Obi that because he left, we ought to have been blaming Atiku Abubakar for coming to pick the ticket of PDP when power ought to have gone to the south. When it was there was, after 8 years of Buhari, there was a need for power to move to the south. So he ought not to be in the race in the first place. But one of the reasons why they use in outsmarting Peter Obi and co, or doing the things they did, which Peter Obi saw the direction they were going and left the party for them. They felt that nobody from the southeast has the capacity in terms of financial resources to be able to match the ruling APC, naira for naira, dollar for dollar, in 2023 election. And Atiku Abubakar and co, they were the one that ensured that the zoning of the PDP was not done and it was not zoned to southeast. Instead, they threw it open in their own thinking, which they said out also, was that if they get in there, then they begin to talk about zoning. But for the presidency, that they have to go and snatch the power and be able to grab it from APC, and that nobody from the southeast had the capacity to do that kind of muscling that's required from their own understanding. And Peter Obi left. And as Peter Obi left the party, Peter Obi left with the goodwill of the people of South, South, and Southeast. And the party was empty. The people that said they will know how to grab power, when Peter Obi left, they are now drowning. They were looking for straws to hold to be able to stay afloat. They started blaming people. They sent their errand boys like Reno Mokre to be talking about the fact that if Peter Obi had been there, Peter Obi did this. In fact, they even said that Peter Obi has no support. It's only on social media. that no Igbo big man is with Peter Obi. Of course, there were no Igbo big men who came out to support Peter Obi. They were not saying anything. But the heart of the people was with Peter Obi. And Peter Obi eventually became the center of attraction, the center of attention. And Peter Obi proved the establishment wrong. And there are ample evidence, which are now in the courts, to prove that Peter Obi won the election as was being projected by the opinion, by the posters from Bloomberg to CNN to We Together Foundation to ANAP Foundation and several opinion polls that was projecting Peter Obi as the man to beat. The man they say that had no structures. The man they say that nobody knows him in northern Nigeria. The man was cruising to victory, according to what an international observer revealed recently from observations in court. He was cruising to victory. And it was in that fear that this man, if you allow the result to be up as planned, Peter Obi will have a runaway victory. And that was how INEC people allegedly undermined INEC itself and allegedly shut down the capacity to transmit results from the polling units to the IREC. Meanwhile, the same beavers was able to transmit House of Reps and Senatorial to the INEC IREC. But the presidency, impossible. It was shut down. The former Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, admitted, he told the world that INEC deliberately shut down the transmission. Go and read it. You can go and Google it. He said that INEC saw attacks against their server and shut it down. Now, people from Amazon Web Services, those who provided the backbone, the protection for the INEC server, have come to courts and said there was nothing like any attack. So there was no glitches. There were no glitches. That what you saw was man-made and not the hand of God. It was deliberately done to sabotage Peter Obi, who was on the verge of creating a new Nigeria that everyone would have seen unfold in our eyes by watching the IREF as numbers are dropping. But it was sabotaged. So the question is, why did Atiku Abubakar think he will come and be president after 8 years of Muhammadu Buhari? Instead of blaming him for the loss of PDP, they are looking for Peter Obi to blame, that it was because he left. Why did Atiku throw himself into the ring when it was not the turn of the North to produce a president? Because after 8 years of Muhammadu Buhari, common sense dictates that power should come to the South. But Atiku ignored it. He had his own cheerleaders cheering him, that he knows how to get the power, that he knows everything. And there were even insinuations at that time that there are people at the villa who are supporting Atiku Abubakar, even though Atiku Abubakar is from the PDP, and all kinds of things. So if there is anybody that PDP should blame for losing in 2023 election, they should blame Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who presented himself and grab the ticket of the PDP when that position ought to have been reserved for a candidate from southern Nigeria and preferably southeastern Nigeria, because everybody knows, for fairness, justice, and equity, that the next president ought to have come from the southeast. Because after 8 years of Obasanjo from southwest, 8 years of Professor Yemi Osinbajo as vice president, making 16 years of southwest being in the villa, for fairness, justice, and equity, presidency ought not to have gone to southwest again. If the power must come to the south, it ought to have gone to southeast. And many people agree with it. And even the candidates from southwest that emerged came with a lot of baggage that made it almost impossible for most people to support him. One, the APC that he represented was performing woefully. Nigeria, under their care, was the poverty capital of the world. Over 133 million people were living under poverty in Nigeria. Unemployment was 33%. Their government inherited single-digit inflation, and they were living with double-digit inflation. There were killings all over the country. Before APC came to power, about 29,000 Nigerians had been killed, according to Organization United States that documents killings in Nigeria. But by the time Buhari was living, over 63,000 Nigerians was killed under his leadership. So there was nothing to recommend the APC. And then the man who represented them was coming with a lot of baggage. So much was against him, his politics, his everything. The issue of corruption, the issue of certificate, the issue of so many things was against him. So there was virtually nothing to recommend him. So it was a given that the atmosphere was okay for Peter Obi to win. So what they should blame, people should be talking about, and what the senator ought to have been saying is that Atiku Abubakar was the reason why the PDP lost out. If they had given that ticket to Peter Obi and begged him not to go, despite all the riggings that these people allegedly did, it would have been impossible for them to get away with it. That is true. Peter Obi would have won. Of course, even right now, there are strong indications, as being shown in the courts, that indeed he won, despite everything else. He won in a new party, Labour Party. The last Labour Party presidential candidate in 2019 got about 5,000 votes. Peter Obi, despite the suppression of his votes and everything, they gave him 6.1 million votes. But by the time you calculate his votes that were suppressed and were caught and given to others in Lagos, in Rivers, in Benue, in Plateau, and so many other parts of the country, you see that Peter Obi's numbers will begin to go up. And you will not be shocked or surprised that indeed he won the election. Unlike Abiola, the election was stolen from him, allegedly. So if there's anybody to blame why PDP did not win, Reno Omokri and this senator, they should stop disturbing people and talk about how Peter Obi was the reason why they didn't win. The reason they didn't win was their rejection of Peter Obi, because Peter Obi ought to have been the candidate. Go and see and listen to what Reno Omokri said about Peter Obi before Atiku Abubakar emerged and grabbed the ticket. Ren Omokre that was singing Hallelujah now for Atiku Abubakar. Although in recent times, he now is singing for Tinubu to see whether he will get any of the crumbs from the table. That is people who go about spreading lies that Peter Obi was the reason why APC lost. No, APC lost because of the ambition of Atiku Abubakar. APC lost because, PDP lost because of the ambition of Atiku Abubakar. PDP lost because they were not reading the times. What people want. People wanted change, a real change, not cosmetic change like the one APC promised in 2015. A real change. And that change was possible through Peter Obi. In fact, Peter Obi has shown what is possible in this country, that Nigerians can unite across board to elect a leader who they believe in. Unfortunately, INEC allegedly sabotaged it. But make no mistake about it, Peter Obi is not the reason why PDP lost. Peter Obi is the reason why people are still talking about the election. I'm telling you for a fact. It is because of Peter Obi that people are still interested in what is going on in the courts. Not because of Atiku Abubakar and the PDP. Because the difference between PDP and the APC is the difference between Eba and Gary. That is the truth. So it's unfair for Red Omokri, for this Senator Matthew, to go about blaming Peter Obi for their loss. But their loss is Nigeria's gain. Now Nigerians have seen the qualities of Peter Obi, and many Nigerians voted for him. And it is now left for the courts to prove that he indeed won the election. But whatever may be the outcome, the truth be told, that Peter Obi has become the issue in Nigeria. That is why everything he does has become subject of scrutiny by the ruling party. The way they attack him even after the election, you would think he was the one that INEC announced as the winner of the election. Now they have taken over power, and it is now left for the courts to tell us who indeed won the 2023 presidential election. The ball is in the court of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal to do this. Nigerians are waiting, but it's unfair. Why I did this video is to show that it's unfair to blame Peter Obi for PDP's loss. PDP's loss was well deserved. The one that Nigerians are talking about. How did Peter Obi lose the election? Let INEC come and prove in the courts. That's what Nigerians are waiting for. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, God will rank it high and recommend it for more people. God bless you and yours.